I'm going to get right to the video. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. Let's get right into it. Shane Dawson, he's gotten into a lot of trouble. A lot of things have been going on with him. A lot of his past got brought back to, present day because he's going under fire for a lot of the pedophilia jokes that he's made, a lot of the bestiality jokes, I guess if you want to call them. He's made jokes about his cat and coming on his cat, which is pretty nasty. And he's also made some, what other jokes? Racist. He's also made some racist jokes. When I was researching for this video, I realized kind of something, that cancel culture really takes advantage of the internet in such a weird way. Because from what I gather, when people get canceled, it's because of what they did in the past. Now, to what degree the past is different from person to person, because for somebody it's like 2 years ago, for somebody it was like 2 months ago, for others it was 10 years ago, like in the case of Shane Dawson. Now, I had this question of how far back can you go before it's too far to actually say, hey, you did this wrong thing, you have to apologize. How far back is that? Where's the line? I came to the conclusion that there is no line. You can go as far as you want. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't criticize what somebody has done in the past. And like I said, to how far in the past, it just depends on the person you ask, like how far back you can actually go. Personally, I think 10 years is a long time. I'm not saying that anything that Shane Dawson has done is good, or that it's justified, or that it's fine, that it should be left alone. But the fact that he's been accused of everything that he's being accused of right now before and not been canceled then doesn't really make much sense to me. Everybody who's canceling him already knew all this information. They already know his past. So what is happening now that it's brought back up? Because if you didn't think that he should have had a platform 4 or 5 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, well then why does he still have one? I might be canceled after this. Actually, I was never even on air, so I can't even be canceled. I think cancel culture is so stupid. It's like, they're just such empty words. They get mad and they get very heated up and in the moment, but the week after you're completely fine. Your numbers are up. And I'm not saying in the specifics of Shane Dawson. I'm just talking in general, the whole cancel culture as a whole. I think this whole cancel culture doesn't allow people to make any sort of mistakes. And celebrities, anybody who has any sort of influence today, has made mistakes. Because everybody who's saying that he's wrong, which he was wrong for making the jokes back then, and he was a full-fledged adult. I mean, to an extent, because what was he, 20? Was he 23 maybe? I mean, people have made insane mistakes at that age, and the internet was so young, and it was such a different climate. And I know people love to criticize the point of it was a different climate, but the fact that he was making those jokes and all of those videos and continuously making them only proves that he was gaining immense success. And people, maybe not immense success because the internet wasn't as crazy as it is now, but he wouldn't have kept on doing it if it wasn't giving him some sort of success. But then you can criticize the type of person who would watch his video, but at that point it's not really his fault, because I have no say on who watches my videos. Some murderer could be watching me. That's not my fault. If Shane Dawson really hasn't changed, or really hasn't, evolved in any sort of way, he wouldn't be the person he is today, and he wouldn't have the audience that he has today. Bringing up old videos and old things that he's done in the past, I'm sure annoys the hell out of him, because I mean, he was a different person back then, and maybe I'm giving him too much of the benefit of the doubt. And he's made a lot of apology videos and things like that, and to an extent I don't believe any of the apology videos, because he's not I don't think he's sorry he did it. I think he's sorry he got caught, because at the time it was a different climate. You could literally say almost anything you wanted and nobody had a problem with it because they knew it was a joke. I think that's another thing with the internet, is that I feel, at least, that everybody thinks that this is always how it's been. 10 years ago, I wasn't on the internet, so I couldn't tell you exactly, how people were. But in the day of like Smosh and stuff like that, when they were insanely huge, the things on there, the content on there would not make it in today's YouTube. Things evolve, things change, and just because you have a record of something happening in the past and it not fitting the puzzle pieces of today doesn't mean that at one point it didn't fit a different puzzle. Some of my other comments on my video were saying that maybe he should go under investigation because it's kind of known, and I don't know if this is a fact or a statistic, people who undergo sexual assault as a kid sometimes go through a cycle where they might do it to somebody else. If that's true, I've tried to look into it. I didn't find too much on whether people who were sexually assaulted do it to others. I did find that it's very likely that he would go under addiction, like some sort of drug addiction or alcohol addiction. A lot of people go under that. A lot of people go towards, substances instead of actually causing other people harm. I'm sure it happens, but I didn't really find anything that supported that. But if people wanted Shane Dawson to go under an investigation, I think that's maybe something Shane Dawson should consider. Personally, I'd imagine that Shane Dawson doesn't want to go under investigation because he thinks it's ridiculous, but if he really doesn't have anything to hide, there should be no problem with going under investigation. Some of the comments on my last vlog were pretty interesting because, like I said, I gave a very condensed version of this video. One of them said something along the lines of, honestly, I mean, not something along the lines, I'm literally reading it verbatim. It's a very long comment on this one, but one of the last parts, she goes into saying that he's not innocent on the basis of blackface and a lot of the very inappropriate things he's said to children, the jokes and stuff like that, which, again, I'm not trying to say that they're okay. I'm not trying to say that they're, in any way justified. They were really, really bad, distasteful jokes that should have never been made. And to an extent, though, he got a lot of people on his YouTube channel, and people subscribed to him for that kind of humor. So to an extent, what he was doing was working. That's just not the climate today. To criticize what it was back then is, I mean, you could definitely do it, but it just isn't like it is today. People don't make jokes like that today, and if they did, this is exactly the type of reaction they would get. Very long comments saying how disgusting of a person they was, and the argument that that these kinds of jokes are normalizing whatever. I see the exact opposite, because we're not normalizing anything. If anything, everything that is said to be, well, you're normalizing whatever, doesn't make any sense to me, because people get mad at the fact that these jokes even exist, and even when they were uttered 10 years ago, they're still mad about it. One of the last things she says is, he should be canceled in my opinion. He's a huge part of the problem, and why so many people are trying to imitate his actions to the point where they normalize racial behavior. And even those who are influenced to acting on what Shane states is she puts quotes, justifications for pedophilia, by saying, well, if my rich idol says it's okay to touch children, then it must be okay. I don't think that's right at all. I feel like people on the internet really don't give credit to people and act as if they're really stupid and like they don't have parents. I mean, look, there are some people who think pedophilia is okay, and that's not right at all. People like that should obviously be helped and, be put in maybe a mental hospital and try to figure out why they think the way they think and what happened to them, as a kid. Maybe there's obviously something wrong there. The majority of people do not think this way, and when people state it's normalizing whatever, I feel like it's seriously degrading to people who have more than half a brain. Like these people who, and I'm not saying that she said anything really typically wrong, but I do see this type of comment a lot where they're normalizing racial behaviors, they're normalizing homophobic behaviors, they're normalizing this, that, and whatever. I don't think that's happening. I think more now than ever, people are becoming more woke and people are more accepting. And whenever somebody really says that it's normalizing whatever, it just kind of bugs me, because it makes, and maybe I'm understanding it wrong, but from what I understand, it's kind of assuming that people just give in or just agree with some sort of celebrity and they have none of their opinion. Do I think that Shane Dawson should get canceled? No, because first of all, I don't think canceling works. I think if Shane Dawson really has a problem and some of these things, a lot of these things are so disgusting, if he already hasn't changed enough to never do something like that again, then yes, he should get help. He should get professional help. He should talk to a therapist. He should and really get to the bottom of this. And maybe come back to the internet and maybe people give him a second chance. A good example is Logan Paul. He did a whole video and literally filmed a dead body and came back, and now he's better than ever. And you wouldn't imagine the Logan Paul today would do anything like that now. So, and you wouldn't bring it up because he's a different person. So I guess maybe the only span of time where you can't go back is if the person that you know today is drastically different. I think Shane is. That's the thing, is I think Shane is, from what I see from his videos at least, and maybe he's not, maybe when, you know, the camera's cut, he's exactly the same person, but his videos that he's producing are so drastically different that I wouldn't imagine he would say anything like that ever today. Take that for what you will. I'm not justifying any of the things that he did. Like I said throughout the whole video, disgusting, terrible, distasteful. But, you know, people are still probably going to say that I'm trying to, I don't know, whatever. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, like I said, subscribe. If you agree with me, go ahead and leave a comment. I don't know. I'll see you next time. I'm going to do a whole thing on this desk setup because it's changed drastically. And I'm really excited for that video. I'll see you next time. Bye.